Welcome back, guys. This is Jay Bird
and Lily Lavender,
coming to you with bar shifts and bullshit,
where we discuss tricks of the trade, experiences,
and maybe a little bit of history behind the craft. All right, guys, today's topic is going to be for all the newbies, but if you've been bartending for a hot minute, you'll probably learn a couple things too. It's always good to kind of take some pride out of the equation and learn a thing or two. We've been in experience for a hot minute. We still learn from day to day and try to figure out some different things that we're going to. But first topic that I want to hit on is well set up. Everybody sets up their well differently, and there's nothing more chaotic than like jumping in behind a bartender and not knowing where anything's at. But I think, and you and I kind of set up the bar a little bit differently too.
Yeah, we do.
Me personally, I have a setup system that I learned actually in a casino. It's called the Essential 8, which always starts from one end to the other. You start from left to right. It always starts with your bourbon, and this is all your well liquors. This is what you can quick grab and when you need it in a hurry, and you know exactly where it's at. But if you do it by this system, it's almost like muscle memory.
It is.
You see it, you know it. You don't even have to actually look at the bottle. You pretty much know exactly where it's at. So that being said, for the experienced people, when you put one bottle somewhere else where it doesn't belong, you're going to freak somebody out when they grab something else. But I usually set mine up with bourbon, whiskey, scotch, and then you start off with your Long Island stuff. So it's going to be vodka, rum, gin, tequila, triple sec.
Yeah.
And then anything past that's usually, for me personally, it's going to be a setup for a liquid marijuana. So I put my 2 rums, my spice rum, my Malibu, and then blue carousel and Midori. And then I'll put my cordials like off to the side on both sides of the well, because those are some things that aren't really that essential, but it's good to have them on the well next to each other. But I don't know if you have any other ways of setting yours up.
No, that's the same.
Word.
Everything within easy reach, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Just setting it up for a quick reach, and then the speed through there is usually the best way to do it. But also things to look into is definitely inventory. If you're coming into a shift, and I don't know how many times this has bit me in the ass, when I think that there's certain garnishes there I think that I just don't need a whole lot of, is usually always going to be the day that I need all of it. Yeah. I'm the world's worst for thinking that, I'm not going to sell a whole lot of old fashions, so I don't peel enough peels to make the muddled fruit or anything.
I don't know. Always be set up for success, so I always make sure I have everything stocked up and ready to go.
Which sounds pretty sounds like a lot of common sense, but if you stay in the habit of doing that inventory on a regular basis, you'll be set up for success. And I know I'm all about cutting corners, and I've met bartenders that do cut corners, but long term, especially on a busy day, that's going to bite you. That one drink that you think that you're not going to make all day, once you sell one, you'll sell 30 of them.
Oh, yeah.
It's definitely a guarantee. But which, like I said, last night I made 6 espresso martinis, which is a popular cocktail where I'm working right now. That's not unheard of. But every time I get the mindset that I don't think I'm going to make it, I make one, I make 20.
Yeah.
And that's going to be kind of the bread and butter. So keep that in mind when you start making those things.
God, it's like the daiquiris too. I hate frozen drinks. But once I make one, I'm going to have to keep making them for the rest of the night, and it's so annoying.
Yeah, especially if they're if they're visually appealing to the eye, people are going to ask about those cocktails. So be ready to make.
They are.
Yeah, just open the floodgates. It's definitely going to happen for sure. But another thing to set up for is kind of get your glassware in check. If you're working in a dive bar, this really doesn't concern you all that much. But if you're working in fine dining or at restaurants, glassware does mean a whole lot. It does, and it does change the texture of certain cocktails. Like wine needs to be served in a wine glass. That stem does add separation to the drink itself. And stuff like a Hugo. What's another cocktail?
Those martini glasses definitely need.
Yeah. Martini
to be within reach too. You never know how many of those you're gonna make.
Well, and the thing about martini glasses is they give off the impression that there's a lot more alcohol than there is.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're shaped the way they are. So it's meant to spread the cocktail as it comes around. So if you're making a martini, it's supposed to be what, about an eighth of an inch off the rim, give or take. So you're supposed to have, so every pour has got to match. Like everything's got to look. And
it's never supposed to be to the rim either.
No.
That's a huge misconception.
Yeah, and keep that in mind, because carrying those cocktails is going to be a pain in the ass every time that you have to move around with it. If you fill it up to the rim, it's going to slosh around and you're going to fight with it the whole time.
Yeah.
It'll look way more professional if you do it all the way, just half a thumbnail off the rim. About an eighth of an inch is what you're looking for in a martini glass. So, and that's a good way to judge if you've made your cocktail correctly as far as martinis go. That's usually my rule of thumb. Anyway.
It is. That's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. So keep that in mind when you're making martinis, and once you start, and you will have those critics. They'll know whether you're short pouring them. They're definitely going to say something if you short pour them, guaranteed. Everybody wants their money's worth in liquor. So.
And then there's the ones who don't drink martinis or Cosmos often enough, and they expect it to be filled to the rim.
Yeah, and they'll learn real quick. It's gonna be nasty if you fill it up with too much, depending on what you're making.
Yeah,
now,
how they want it.
Yeah. Now, if it's like a fruity drink, like a Cosmo, it won't hurt it to add a little bit more flavor, but it will change the integrity of it. It'll dilute it a little bit more. Most people don't quite understand. They think more. A lot of people see more drink in their cocktail. Doesn't necessarily mean they're getting more alcohol.
No. It's gonna be the same amount with more juice.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. To anybody else that's listening that's never bartended before, or that's just listening for the fun. More liquid does not mean more alcohol. But you don't want more alcohol in it. I promise you, it'll make it nasty. If you want a good cocktail, unless you're just a straight up bourbon drinker, you drink everything on the rocks, which I say that, but that's how I drink all of my stuff. Coming back to the next topic, at some point or another, we're going to talk about whether bartenders should be alcoholics or not, but that's for a later date. But yeah, future reference, I do think it's kind of essential. But all right, so we're talking about glassware, well set up. Make sure you have plenty of rags out there, guys. You'll be fighting your cooks for that stuff. If you work in a kitchen and you bartend, you definitely need everything on hand to make sure you keep a clean station. Rags is going to be your bread and butter.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you separate the ones you've already been using from the ones that are brand new, and you've got to have microfiber
and rugged rags.
Yeah,
keep your rugged rags to kind of keep debris down, wiping down your countertops, and people look at that stuff. So
especially if your glassware is linty.
Yeah. So microfiber is definitely something you need to do to be cleaning your glasses and wiping them down, especially if you have to wash them in a hurry. But yeah, so do you have any tricks on how you would set up your bar for success?
We set it up the same exact way.
Kind of a redundant conversation, but we'll talk about this a little later. But
I do fold my rags.
Yeah.
My clean ones are folded, so I can tell which ones I'm using and which ones I haven't touched yet.
I don't stress about that as much. I don't fold. I like it. It looks better, and I get it. I get it completely.
I work with too many bartenders that just kind of grab and go. They don't even pay attention to what they're grabbing.
Yeah, well, I don't know. So I get it. I get where your mindset is, but if you have the time to take that extra 20 minutes and make everything look nice and fold up your rags and have them ready, that's great. I don't do that. Usually, depending on where you work, if you're working somewhere commercial, all your rags come in a big plastic bag.
They do.
You keep it all separated, and then we have buckets for your dirty rags. And I ain't gonna say that I'm lazy, but on that front, it's just not that concerning to me. You're definitely more OCD on that front, where I'm just like, let's just get this done.
I never know who's watching me. I can't help it.
That's fair. That's definitely fair.
My bar is very open. Like people could just look into it.
Yeah, and again, it goes back to square one. People are watching you, but at the same time, if they see it coming out of a plastic bag, I'm gonna assume. Granted, I bartend, so like I'm gonna assume that they're clean. Never always the case. People may have questions. Just be prepared to have your argument there.
Yeah.
But interactions with people, guys, like for a new bartender, there's different things that always help me. Little puns, little quirks. People have always said something to me like, if you can get a quick laugh fresh out the gate, it's a good icebreaker for conversations. Not everybody is natural to conversations, like my associate right here, that just naturally has something to say about everything.
I just talk to people, and my thing is to make people feel relaxed. They're coming to the bar to drink.
Yeah.
And relax.
Set up a relaxing setting for sure, but nothing weirder than having like an awkward conversation. So try to stick away from like the one word conversations. Add something to the conversation, not just yes, no, I guess, maybe. Try to expound on that as much as possible.
Like you can say that, but just add something after it.
It kind of brings me to a different point. So there's going to be a lot of people out there that want something that you can't give them. What's helped me a lot through life in general, especially in the service industry, is don't tell the guests no. Which sounds difficult, but I'm going to elaborate just a little bit more. I knew a guy that came up to me, and this was when I was working security. And granted, a lot of people come up to the bar and assume that I should be bouncing. But, I make more money as a bartender. I'll keep that between you and I. But I had a guy, I was really interested in what he does. He's actually a host. For a bigger company, so his job was to just delight his guests, make sure they're happy, and keep them content. That's his job. Sounds awful to me, like to cater to somebody, but he was really, really good at it. Awesome people person. And I asked him about it one day, and I was like, "How do you do this every single day?" And he was like, "I never tell the guests no." And I was like, and I talked to him about it. I was like, "How do you keep that? How do you do that? How do you keep the ability to never tell anybody no?" He's like, offer them something else, always. He said, come up with a solution, and the faster you come up with a solution, the more professional you sound. So if you can't offer one cocktail because the ingredients that you don't have, offer something that's either similar or something way off base to kind of get their mindset off in a different direction. But if you tell them no and you dismiss them immediately, it kind of shuts the door for them. They're already miserable. He's like, and he was telling me all this, and that to me that was just brilliant.
It is.
But getting people on the right track and offering something different, or offering a different conversation, or just kind of leading them in the right direction. If they're miserable, you can flip the script. Sometimes some people are more adamant to be miserable, and you'll see that. It's okay. It's part of life. Which, on that note, just don't take anything that's said to heart.
No. Well, also on that note, like, there's many different types of bars out there, and so not all bars are set up the same way. You will be limited on the amount of cocktails you can make with what you've got. So if they are looking for something else, you can maybe tell them, oh, let me see what I can make you, but I don't have all those ingredients, but I do have something else in mind that's similar.
Yeah. Well, that always comes back to square one. I love, and a lot of bartenders hate it. I love when a customer comes up to me and is like, all right, just make me something. And I would be like, all right, like all hands off, like I can do whatever I want. And they're like, yes, just make me something. Those are my favorite. I'll make something wild. I made this woman a bong water the other day. She's like, I just want something fruity, which is rare, by the way. Nobody ever just asked for fruity drinks. And I was like, but I was all about it. And bong water is, I mean, you think about it, it's kind of gross. It looks gross, but it's a very, very fruity cocktail. It's made with sour mix and pretty much everything else that would go in liquid marijuana.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's supposed to look like legit bong water, and she drank 3 of them. Like, it was good stuff. Yeah. So you get a chance, and it'll be rare in fine dining where that'll take place. People are wanting something with more elegance. Um, my advice on that point, like nobody's going to expect you to be the best bartender fresh out of the gate, and that goes for all the other bartenders out there that's got 20 years experience. Um, you know, don't be afraid to learn new cocktails.
No.
Just stay on top of it. Don't be afraid to perfect your craft. If you feel like your cocktail could be better, take the time to learn it.
Yeah, I mean that touches basis on another topic in future, being teachable.
Yeah, be teachable, and we'll elaborate on that later on because that's been a sore subject for a hot minute.
And not taking things personally.
Yeah, but definitely don't take things personally around here because people. I think we hit on it in our intro. People people always want that one drink that one bartender made from them way back when. You know good and well you don't know that bartender. You've never drank there, and you've never done these things before. So don't get mad. Don't be butthurt. Things do happen. Just keep with the flow and keep trying around with it.
As a bartender, it's supposed to be fun and entertaining.
It is.
I always look at myself as being an entertainer.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What you can spit out in conversation always helps me for sure.
Exactly. And it's not just conversation. Like it's. I wouldn't even call it flair. It's just how you make a cocktail, how you do it in front of them, the presentation, how you set it in front of the customer, just all sorts of things, and especially how you look and hygiene.
Yeah, hygiene and presentation and being confident in what you do.
Mm-hmm.
You can. I'm a full believer in fake it till you make it.
Yes, it is a very fake business.
Yeah, it's a very fake business. But if you're confident when you make your cocktails, try not to shake. Don't take too much time to think about what your next ingredient is. Mm-hmm. Go in there with a plan when you make a cocktail, and 9 times out of 10, people ain't even gonna know the difference.
No.
You can make mistakes on the beach and forget the orange juice. Some people, people still wonder.
They do.
If they really know what their cocktail's supposed to taste like. But if you fake it and you do it with confidence, most of the time you won't get second guessed.
Mm-hmm.
But hygiene is definitely important.
Oh yes.
And I don't mean just on how you look and how you smell behind the bar, all that stuff. That does play a factor. And for the men out there that bartend, I totally get it. I understand completely. You do make a whole lot more money when there's a woman behind the bar or somebody that's very, very attractive behind the bar. I'm all about having you behind the bar. I make a whole lot of money if you're there.
No.
It does make a difference. But things that help me along the line is definitely being confident with my drinks. Hygiene. People are watching you.
Yes, they are.
So if you wear gloves and you drop something in the trash, pick it up real quick. You can trade out your gloves because people are watching you. That's a thing.
Or wash your hands. Constantly wash your hands. I know it gets busy, but people are watching you. They're sitting right there. Yeah. They're walking past the bar. It doesn't matter. They're watching you. You don't know who's watching you.
Well, theoretically, people all do a count on you. You're supposed to wash your hands for 30 seconds, all that good crap. And if people see you taking the effort, that's important. And I personally am not going to wash my hands in between every single cocktail.
No.
It's not going to happen. That's ridiculous. But if you don't make a mess and you're not splattering things all over there, trying to do flips and all kinds of random crap with your cocktails, you're not going to make a mess.
But I mean, the main important factor is that at least they see you washing your hands a few times.
Yeah, and if you don't slosh things around and make a mess, that's usually a huge help. It's like a quote, or it wasn't a quote, it's like an ongoing joke in the military. There's a Navyman and a Marine, they go up to the pisser, they're in the bathroom and they're getting ready to take a leak. And Navyman goes over and washes his hands. And he notices the Marine that he doesn't. And the Navyman looks up and he said, in the Navy they teach us not to wash our hands after we pee. The Marine looks up and he's like, in the Marines they tell us not to piss on our hands. So keep that in mind. If you can kind of keep your station clean and all that stuff, it's really not essential. But make sure that you wash your hands as much as you can. And it sounds like common sense. It really does.
Well, you definitely have to keep your station clean. Nobody wants to sit down at a dirty bar, especially if they can see back there. Yeah, it makes it worse.
But I swear, it never fails though. I will have guests sit at dirty spots.
Yes, they do all the time.
It doesn't matter. They could be a load of dishes right there. As soon as they see guests pack up and move, they'll sit right there. And there'll be clean spots further down the bar.
Like, I'll have drinks still sitting at the bar, but the customer left, and people will still come and sit there with the drink in front of them, almost gone.
I'll never understand that about guests because I want a clean spot, but I understand chasing the spot before anybody else can get it. I get the play on words on there, but at the same time, that's just a kind of a bartender's curse. Like, you're gonna have people that sit at dirty spots. You're gonna get people that you're not ready for. It's just part of it. Just roll with the punches and push through. Because bars get busy, and it gets really, really, really annoying on that front. But I never understood that though.
I didn't either.
I have more. I understand a guest that'll stand by a seat that's dirty and wait for me to clean it. I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna sit down there and like put your beer down right in front of a bunch of dirty dishes, it's just kind of I get a different vibe every time I do it. I mean, it's kind of gross. Like, so if you're a guest and you do that, you nasty.
They're gonna be one of the ones that go to the bathroom and don't wash their hands.
I know it's you. Like, I know you didn't wash your hands.
Yes. God, you could just tell sometimes.
Yeah,
and I hate the fact that I stereotype people when they sit at the bar. But
it's so hard not to.
Sometimes,
it's
so
hard
really
not
difficult.
to in this profession. Like, I do that all the time.
I do it all the time, especially the area we're in. I'm just like, oh, well, crap. There goes my night.
Well, and I'll look at people, I'll be like, and I'll tell other bartenders I'm working with, and it's kind of what it is. But I'll be like, I ain't trying to be judgmental, but they do nasty. Like if you're making out behind my bar, which the simple PDA.
Oh God, I had that last night. I was so annoyed.
Oh yeah, the simple PDA, him peck, you're having a good time. That's cool.
That's fine.
But if you're doing lap dances at my bar and you're like in this dude's lap or whatever,
and you can see the tongue going down their throat, I'm just like, y'all get the fuck away. I'm trying to work here and I need more customers.
That's a little much, guys.
They keep the customers away too. Like, who wants to sit down next to that?
Yeah,
nobody.
That's cool. You're passionate about your relationship. You're newlyweds. Half of them aren't. Half of them aren't. They're just a little liquored up and they just want to go on each other. That's cool.
Or they're high.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's 2023. Like, it shocks me that more people aren't high right now. I mean, I'm not, but this conversation would be a lot slower. For sure.
Well, no, like, I had these two young people come in last night, and apparently they had been seen riding in on a motorcycle. So, like, the way they rode in on the motorcycle, it was questionable.
Oh, yeah.
So then they come through the door and they come up to me and they tell me, hey, you need to watch them. I don't think they need to be served any more alcohol. And I was like, okay. So I'm watching them and I'm paying attention, listening to their conversation as they sit down. And I figured out, oh, hell, they've had no alcohol yet. They are high as shit. And I'm like, well, this is great. This is going to be fun and interesting. So I get them their first round, and they're drinking it extremely slowly. And they're eating food at the same time. I'm like, okay, this is okay. But I look at their pupils, and I was like, fuck, they are huge. Yeah.
And keep in mind, I don't know about other states, but in the state of North Carolina, if you serve, you will be considered over-serving to guests that are like that.
Yes.
So make sure you catch people's demeanor. Alcohol laws, I know in some states, definitely ours, which is weird in a state where we've, started prohibition that we would have so many alcohol laws. But keep that in mind. If you're serving and they're high, that does play a factor in how many drinks they're allowed to drink.
Yeah, I almost didn't give them any alcohol until I heard what their order was going to be, and they just got a beer and a daiquiri, and I was like, okay, this is fine.
Yeah, and a trick of the trade, guys. If you're getting nervous about how much you can serve somebody, or if you need them to slow down, there's different ways to kind of avoid that conversation.
There definitely is.
I've got a lot of bartenders that just avoid eye contact as much as possible, like to try, and I get it. That's a That's a quick go-to if you have to like do something real quick in front of them and you're trying not to serve them.
Yeah.
To avoid eye contact, but you know, simple conversations, lead them off track, and then take your time and breeze through it. Minutes will add up. So if you need them to wait an extra 10 minutes before you can give them another cocktail, there's different ways to, you know, finagle your way around it. But
or strike up a conversation. Figure out what interests them and
Yeah.
strike up a conversation based off of that. Because usually when you can figure out what they're interested in, they get extremely passionate in the conversation.
And then they forget.
They
get lost in conversation.
Yeah.
They get lost in how long it took them to get that cocktail.
And I get that that's not always going to be something you can do, especially in a high volume restaurant, bar, whatnot.
Yeah.
But
if you have high volume, you've got reasons to
be away from them.
Away from them, yeah. Sure. But if that's your only guest at the bar and they want like their eighth cocktail and it's getting a little, you know, iffy, you're kind of rocking the boat a little bit. Just keep in mind that like you start that conversation, you can actually monitor throughout the conversation them actually sobering up.
Yeah.
And little tricks like if you're talking to people and they need to wait for their next cocktail, like you need to pace them a little bit more. As you're conversating, throw up more water up there.
Yeah, that's what I do. I'll place a water in front of them.
But do it casually, like in the middle of the conversation, because it is your job to serve. So you don't put all the heat on your conversation to like spread the time. Throw up water, throw up Pepsi products or whatever kind of products you have to, just to kind of like slow them down a little bit. Throw up bread. If you're in fine dining, bread's literally, I mean, like that'll
be your best friend.
Yeah.
Well, like the other night, they were sitting down to dinner, and somebody had ordered a Manhattan like 5 times in a row. So this person had 5 Manhattans in the span of an hour and a half. Yeah. And I had to ask the server. I'm like, is this going to the same person?
Keep in mind, Manhattan's is straight liquor.
Yeah.
So
you have to pay attention to what your servers are sending out, how many they've had, and you have to watch those customers at the same time. I get that it can be overwhelming, but you have no choice but to pay attention to everything around you.
Yeah, this is part of the trade. This is why like bartenders thrive on their craft.
Yeah.
It is fun. It can be stressful because you end up being a jack of all trades. You end up having to be a bouncer, bartender, therapist. Like it all comes into play. But the better you are, the more experience you have under your belt, the easier this job will be. And it's something to take pride in.
It is. It really is. And then what's that big thing going on right now is that ALE law. Well, it's not a law, but when you're IDing somebody, they tell you you're supposed to have that card in your hand for about a minute. No, they bumped it up to a minute.
Oh, God.
So you sit there and you take a look at all the dates. That's what I do, because usually on each different driver's license, the identification and everything, all the dates are in different spots. So it's gonna take you a while to look at it. But I was looking at somebody's license last night for like 45 seconds, and they're like, "Are you just trying to memorize my address?" I was like, "Yeah, you're kind of cute."
Oh, yeah. Oh, what a save.
But really, I'm looking for the issue date, the date of birth, and the expiration date, because those are the 3 things you have to look at on a fake ID, because they usually don't coincide.
Things to keep in mind when you're looking at IDs too, though, is like, don't worry about eye color, because people wear contacts.
Yeah.
Don't worry about hair color,
because they dye their hair.
Things that they can't change is their height and their birth date.
Yeah.
So if you're really that concerned about it and you're a little nervous that it could be a fake ID, be quick. Ask for their height, ask for their birth date.
Yeah.
And do it consecutively.
Well, here we gotta ask 3 questions.
Oh, you gotta ask 3 questions. Yeah, you do, don't you? So I don't know what ALE laws are like in other states, but North Carolina is pretty heated here.
It is heated, yes.
I hate to be that guy, but
I
you're in my life.
I do the height, and I do their address and their date of birth. They have to answer each of those as fast as possible. It's got to be under 5 seconds, so you know that they're not taking the time to
My
think of the
favorite is
answer.
when they think it's like a pop quiz, though, and they really have to think about it. And they're like, oh.
So the key is 5 seconds.
Well, yeah, I always aggravate my guests when I do that. They're like stunned that I'm asking them a question. They're like, oh, and I was like, oh, too long.
And then you get the ones that ask you, well, why are you asking me all this based off my license? Because you look really young for your age.
Yeah.
I wish I looked like that when I get that age.
Oh, I steal that. Oh, that's my favorite. I steal that
Yes.
all the time. I'll be like, dang, man, stay young. I want to look like that when I'm
Exactly.
such and such. Which I think the most embarrassing one I've done, and I was younger, like I was actually working security and I had to ID somebody, and it was this Asian woman, and I don't know what you Asians are doing, but it is, y'all are killing it. Y'all are killing it out there, because this woman was 60 years old. I could have swore she'd probably been 28. Which in the state of North Carolina, if you're doing IDs, you're supposed to ID anybody that looks 32 and younger.
Oh, my key is always 40 and younger.
Yeah, so like, well, if you want to be in the safety net, definitely do the higher rank. But I could have swore she was 28, and she laughed. God, she laughed. She was up to 66. I was like, holy crap, man. Yeah.
Oh, God.
You guys got it working. I don't know what y'all's secret is. I don't know if it's all the rice.
I doubt it. I don't think so. I think it's all the seafood.
No, it's seafood. Y'all on something. I know I be Asian like milk. I feel old every day. My bones be cracking.
God.
I'm 32, guys. Like anybody's curious. But
what's the other one? The other one is how to cut somebody off.
oh, this is
That's
an uncomfortable conversation, and everybody's got a different way of doing it. A lot of people more aggressive than the other.
But it also always comes back to being confident at your job.
Yeah. Some people are really, really good at it. It is not my favorite thing to do. I don't like cutting people off, but it is a necessary thing. It is something that you're going to have to do as a bartender. It is going to be something that you're going to have to be comfortable with. It does suck. But there's different things. I go through every aspect possible. Like I'll wait them out. I'll wait them out as long as I can before I give them cocktails. That usually spreads out the night a little bit, and that helps. Feed them, water them. Like those are the designated tricks to kind of stop you from having to do cutoffs.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, like I'll set a water in front of them and I'll tell them point blank, hey, I'm not giving you any more drinks until you finish that water, and I've seen you pee twice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's legit. And then if you always have to, it won't hurt to blame ALE. Sorry guys, I know a lot of my friends are in ALE and alcohol law enforcement. And some of you care, some of you definitely don't by saying this, but I will blame NC law for a lot of our cutoffs. First thing I'm going to tell them, like, listen, I'm limited to so many cocktails per person. You've exceeded it. Good on you, but I can't give you another one at this time.
Yeah. Right. And then what's the other one? If they've been sitting in that chair for a long period of time, you have not seen them move from that chair, and they've already had 4 drinks.
Yep.
Make their ass get up and go walk around or do something. Give them the water. Make them go pee. Yeah. I don't care.
And it's really hard to tell if somebody's inebriated if they've been sitting down in the same spot for a long time.
They gotta get up. You have to watch their movements.
Yeah, and most people don't know it until they stand up. We had a house party one time, and I had a good friend that he was Dominican. And I mean, obviously, I am from North Carolina. Like moonshine is what we have here, and we got good moonshine. Like real moonshine, where you get it from like if he's missing like 3 teeth and he lives out in the middle of nowhere. That kind of moonshine, it burns blue. It'll make you go blind if you get the wrong batch. That's moonshine to me. So that's what I grew up with. So we decided, we had a house party, and he was like, "I'm gonna bring you my best Dominican rum." It's called Brugal.
Boy.
FYI, I love that rum. Well, it's good stuff. Yeah, it comes in a big gallon jug. It's like their version of Everclear. It's dope. Like, it's good. But he's like, "I'm gonna bring you my best Dominican rum." I was like, "All right, you bring your best rum, and I'm gonna bring my best quart of moonshine." I called a friend of a friend of a friend. I ain't gonna tell you who they are because that's my connect, not yours. But like he brought me my quart of moonshine. It was straight, like burn blue, no flavoring. It was 180 proof. It'll burn the hair off, kind of stuff. I was like, "I'm gonna get him." And sure enough, I was sitting there grilling burgers. He was sitting in the chair next to me. Granted, that's the only spot, and I was standing up. But I was cooking food, And I drank a shot of his Bergal, and he drank a shot of my moonshine. Before we knew it, we were mixing cups, and before we knew it, we had Coke in both cups. We had Coke mixtures and moonshine mixtures, and I'm pretty positive there was a cup that had nothing but rum and moonshine.
Oh my God.
And we were fine. We were having conversations. We were still. And then I went to give somebody a burger. Like keep in mind I was cooking. I went to give somebody a burger and I turned and I was like, whoa. And like I headed it off and I just went back to the grill and I just pretended like nothing was wrong. And my buddy looked at me and he was like, what's going on with you? I was like, nothing. And he was like, why won't you look at me? I was like, try to stand up. He was like, what? I was like, try to stand up. And he got off the stool. You'd have thought he melted. Like he just slapped the ground, man. He was like, holy crap. He's like, I can't feel my legs. Yeah, like Lieutenant Dan set up, man.
Oh, no.
Like, oh, man, it was bad. It was so bad. So we were done, like, after that. Like, it was the best sleep I've ever had. And I'm pretty sure I slept for like 14 hours, man. But, yeah, that was a rough night. But it was really, really good. But keep in mind, if there's not movement in there, you don't really, even as somebody that's drinking, you don't know how inebriated you are if you haven't made movement.
You don't know where they've been before they got to you. They don't know how much they've been drinking already. Like, there's just way too many factors that play in this.
Oh, and if you're a newbie into this industry and you're still trying to pick up on the tricks of the trade, keep in mind, these are things you learn.
Yes. Yeah. But a number one good trick is to talk to these people. Yeah. If you talk to them, you can tell if they're slurring their words already. You can tell if they're making eye contact with you. Or, God, what are some of the other ones? Long pauses. They talk slowly because they're trying to enunciate each word.
One of my exes is the world's worst for that. Holy crap. She used to try to tell me she wasn't drunk. And I don't care. I really don't care. And granted, I'm not with this person anymore. This is not the reason. But she used to try to hide drinking from me. I don't care. You drink. I drink. I ain't gonna hide it. But if you're trying to lie and you're enunciating your words, I'm not stupid. Like, I've been in this industry a long time. Yeah. If you're stretching out your conversations, you do not sound, for the drunkards out there, you do not sound smart. You do not sound sober. When you stretch out the word prohibition, you're not sober. Okay. Oh, God. So keep that in mind. But if you're listening to people and you're trying to assess, listen to how slow they talk. If they're speeding through conversations, slang will get the better of you. I don't know where you're from, if you're from, but I'll tell you the top ones I can think of is definitely Georgia, North Carolina, Louisiana. If you got a hardcore accent, you Mississippi. Yeah. You come in, I love you guys, love you to death, but if you're coming in a bar with a thick accent, we're automatically going to assume you're drunk. Yep. Until proven innocent. Happens all the time. It does. So for the newbies out there, try to keep in mind the accents do change. And unpopular topic, people do have handicaps. I don't know how to say that better word. There's a better word for it off the top, but I can't think off the top of my head. People that have like Tourette's or people that like struggle saying words, they have a slur or whatever. That is a natural thing. Yeah. Some people sound drunk. Like, that's part of life.
Yeah. Oh, the ones who stutter. That's a big one because I've encountered so many people who stutter. Like, I stutter, but it's when I'm trying to get my words out all at once.
Oh, yeah. Can't say it fast enough. You gotta let that stuff out.
But that's my ADD. It's really difficult, and then I'm never gonna remember it afterwards.
Yeah. Oh, that's me, man. We have numbers that sign in our computers or whatever, and I work with several other bartenders at once. So we trade the same, we'll put in the same number all day long. Yeah. Just so it just saves our paperwork. Because there's nothing worse than splitting up paperwork between 5 people throughout the night. So it's awful. But people will tell me the number, and this is what my AD gets the better at me, is I have to ask 300 times. Because as soon as I type it in that one time, I will lose it.
I know, I'm the same way.
There's weird numbers that, like, it's like my buddy's phone number has not changed in the 30 years that I've known him. I've known him almost my whole life.
Yeah.
His cell phone number has never changed. And there's been 5-year spreads where we haven't talked to each other. Not because we were mad at each other, it's just we just lost touch. And then I randomly call him up. I remember that number. I will never forget his phone number. He's never changed it. Thank God. Yeah. So like it's kind of one of those, like, if you're ADD, this is definitely the job for you.
It really is. I can't stress that enough.
Yeah, but this is definitely meant for you, but you will have your struggles in certain things.
I do get sidetracked very easily.
Oh yeah, like squirrel. Like just turn the corner, man.
God, I do it every time.
Yeah. I get halfway through conversations, and then like somebody will ask me something, and I'm designated, and I won't pick up where I left off until about 20 minutes later, and like they're just like, oh, we finished that conversation a long time ago. Like, man, all right, that's cool. But short puns, introductions, like I think my biggest. Everybody's heard the "I'm living the dream" introduction.
Oh God, yeah.
And everybody's about tired of it. But I am the world's worst. I've said it. So I change it. I'll change it in different languages. I can say hello in 3. And I can tell you you're beautiful in 3. Yeah. So, and those kind of, that doesn't really help me bartend a whole lot. But just fun fact. I don't know. But if people are asking how you doing, man, I'll just be like, man, I'm surviving. I'm making it through the day. Or I'm treated, I always say it, I'm very fortunate and treated better than I should be. And people just kind of give me a weird look, and they'll just be like, all right, like, this guy gets me. This guy goes through some struggles.
Mine's always new day, same bullshit.
Yeah. But I actually had a dude call me out on it not too long ago. He looked at me and he was like, I think every bartender should have some kind of introduction like that. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, some little quick. And he's like, I bet you rehearsed that in the mirror. I looked at him, I was like, mind your business. Started cracking up.
Yes, just have fun with them.
Yeah.
The more you have fun with them, the better it's going to be overall for your job and your tips.
Yeah, and don't take it personal. People have sideways cracks about you. I'm a big guy. Like, people come up to me all the time and they'll be like, you should be manning the bar, not running it. Like, you should be throwing people out, not making my drink.
Exactly.
So I actually took over. We were doing shifts. I was taking over for a different bartender, and the bartender I was taking over for was a cute little brunette, like little bitty petite brunette bartender, and she's awesome. She's one of my buddies, but I was taking over. We were watching shifts, and this dude looks at me and sizes me up too. He looks me up and down, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "We wanted another hot chick, not this MMA fighter." I was like, "Dang!" I was like, "Do we dirty like that?" And he starts laughing, and I was like, "What can I get for you, man?" He was like, "Bud Light." And I look at him, I was like, "You want to fight me for it?" He was like, "Ah." So that's like, have fun with who you are. Different bartenders come from different places. As long as you can have good interactions, think on your feet, be quick. Honestly, the best thing that's ever helped me bartending, for me personally, is actually reading books. I know that sounds dumb, but you can lead your way into different conversations with more information that you know.
Oh yeah, I'm a reader too, definitely.
I am a history buff, so I can tell you, like, I like learning different histories about different situations and having different mindsets of what if things have done differently. You know, if different situations played out, and see where it goes, and you can lead those conversations long.
Oh yes, so I always tell everybody, I'll start it off with, I'm a fountain of useless information.
Yeah, same. I learn tricks, just random information.
You just never know when you're going to use them.
We used to do that when I worked in the kitchen, man. I used to cook, and we'd get so bored every so often. So we'd do fun facts, and like just random crap. And like the things you learn was just that game alone. Like, you just wake up and just be like, all right, fun fact. Einstein's eyes are still hidden somewhere in like Virginia. Like, and that's like a fact, but I didn't quote it right. But it was one that I wasn't stuck with. Like, but we used to do that every Sunday. We'd have Fun Fact Sunday, and after a while, everybody hated it. It was like, you either run out of facts or you get tired of playing the game.
Yeah.
But,
the more you know.
The more you know, the more conversations you can start. A lot of people out there, especially if you're bartending or sportsman. I know you're a sportsman.
Yeah.
You do fantasy football and all that other stuff, and that's great. So you know exactly what's being played out there on the square.
I do.
If you're a bartender, this is a good solid base for a good conversation. If you do sports, you know what's going on, the upcoming dates, or if you're one of those bougie chicks that do the Kim Kardashians and you have conversations about politics. I do not agree with adding politics into conversations at the bar.
No, I don't either.
I personally don't think that's a good conversation.
But what's going on with random entertainment people or actors and actresses, that helps.
Yeah, but we'll address politics and stuff and how to lead in those conversations and lead your way back out of it at a later date. We'll hit on that.
See your way out of a conversation.
We'll definitely address that at some point. But keep in mind, I don't feel like leading into politics or religion is two topics. So if you've got better conversations like sports or something that can like lead into other scenarios, you're better off with that. I'm not a big sports fanatic, so I kind of stick with what I need. But
drink the week.
But so keep in mind all things. I know that was very overwhelming, but we're kind of leading into our drink of the day. So this is something that we're going to address for all the newbies. And if you're an experienced bartender, you either know how to make these cocktails or you've never heard them before. So we're just going to lead into something new. Our drink of the day is going to be our Long Island iced tea, and this will help with all the newbies. It all includes in your essential 8, except for the first 3 cocktails. Long Island's your alcohol is going to be. That's going to be rum, tequila, triple sec, gin,
and vodka.
Also made with sour mix.
I don't like using pre-made mixes. They are nasty.
Here's the thing about a pre-made sour mix. Some bars will require you to use them. If you have it, great. It'll save you some time. But the best cocktails we have encountered comes with fresh product.
Yes. So
Lily Lavender likes to make her cocktails with fresh, off the gun or off the whip sour mix. If you want to address how you make your sour mix,
I make it with 2 lemon wedges and 1 lime wedge and half an ounce of simple syrup.
She muddles all that stuff up there and shakes sour mix. Sour mix is activated. Everything with citrus does get shaken.
Yes. So you shake it all up, and I usually do a 30 count. Everybody else does less than that. But you really want that activation for the flavor.
If you're curious what activation looks like, in a chilled shaker, you'll start to see frost on both ends of the shaker.
Yes.
So it'll almost feel frozen. Honestly, it's going to be a pain in the ass to kind of get those shakers apart. I recommend when you set it down on the counter, twist it a little bit as you're pulling it, and it does help the shakers come apart a little bit.
It does.
And pour all your mixture in a glass. Top it off with Pepsi.
Or Coke.
Or Coke.
It's supposed to be Coke.
It's supposed to be Coke. But
here,
in North
they
Carolina,
have Pepsi.
Yeah, North Carolina, it's a Pepsi world. I don't know why.
And
I hate on it.
And it's not just topping it off with the Coke or the Pepsi. It's a layered look.
A layered look, yes.
So it's a slow pour into the top of that drink.
Absolutely. So don't stir it up before you send it out. Let the guests do that.
Yes.
Because it's supposed to look foggy.
Yes.
If you got a foggy texture in your Long Island, that's the activation of the sour mix. It's supposed to look like that. It actually looks more appealing if it looks like that. If you just, I've had bartenders just put all the cocktails, like everything in a glass, and don't mix it and just splash it with their Pepsi or their Coke at the top. That's not the way it's supposed to be made. Sour mix or anything citrus is supposed to be activated. It's supposed to have movement. That's everything. That's the acidity of those things working together. So make sure you keep that in mind. If you have sour mix and you have time to make the cocktail correctly, make sure you shake that stuff up. It looks better and it's more presentable, and then you'll come out on top. Well, guys, that's going to be it for today. We'll come in with a new topic next week. I hope y'all. We love you guys. We'll see what happens next.